Today, we recap the Red Series, see what's happening down on the farm, and preview the upcoming series against the Brewers. You're listening to the Bucko Banner podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plates, and in case after case, run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Scott, welcome back to the States. Welcome back to Bucko Baseball. Welcome back to Bucko Banner. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I'm happy to be back. You know, I was really missing the podcasting while I was away, and I was checking in, and it seems like we have some updates here. That sick video that plays after you intro.
Yeah, you have
to Just Baseball.
Yeah,
I know.
Just Base. We introed it last week. Shout out Josh from Bridge to Bucktober joined us for a hell of an episode. If you haven't listened, go check it out. But it's awesome, man. It's really cool. Every week there's a new upgrade here, so stay tuned for more. But man, you missed so much.
Yeah, catch me up, man.
Also nothing at the same time. It's there was a lot of discourse around the Buccos organization. Cherington said he was holding on to Shelton as the coach for next year. He expects him back. So you take that with a grain of salt. So there was a lot of people sharing their opinions on that one.
I hate that. Wait, can I just say I hate those reports or those headlines, because why even say it? Like if there is a possibility that Shelton's gone, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Why say you expect to have him back? Like, why say anything at all? I don't know.
I don't know if the question was how it was stated or who asked it. But you're not going to say like, yeah, we're getting rid of the guy after the season.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You're just going to say, listen, as they always say, like, we need to get better. The team looks better, but we need the word better is just thrown around a lot. You know, things look better. Shelton looks better. We need to improve. But overall, I think we're better. It's the same shit, man. Brian Reynolds is taking ground balls every day. He bought a first base glove.
Andrew Destin spoke that into existence. So shout out Andrew.
He did. When he was on the show, he is a big proponent for moving Reynolds to first base. I mean, he has maybe the worst defensive run saved value in the entire league. And the past couple of weeks, it's been really bad. And I was talking to Josh last week about at the beginning of the year. I really didn't notice it. And as a matter of fact, I thought he improved going into the season. I think the outfield assist probably helped that or skewed my view on it. But once I realized, you know, the statistics and then I honed in on it, like, wow, he is not good out there in left field. And maybe the move to first base is a necessary one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. I kind of wish we got to see some appearances here in the last week or so, but because what do these games mean to the Pirates? But I don't know. I'm sure we'll see a lot of it in the spring.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between moving somebody from the infield to the outfield than the outfield to the infield. That's a dramatic difference.
True.
You're able to get away with it with Cruz, who has made some spectacular plays out there. He's had a couple of blunders, but overall, I think this is the right move. I was very skeptical at first. I know you were as well. We talked about it all the time. There's no precedent for like a 6'7" shortstop. The arm plays better out there. The straight line speed plays better out there. He's able to relax a little bit, which you'd think improves the bat, but also his personality just plays a lot better out there as well. Overall, I think it's a good move, but going into the offseason, it kind of changes the trajectory of who they're going to go after, what positions they need to fill. It's almost as if they have more holes going into this offseason than they did last offseason, where you think they're going to compete. Because now, if you're going to move Reynolds, you need a left fielder. You probably need a right fielder too. I mean, you could get away, I guess, with BDLC out there.
Let me tell you something. With Cruz playing center field, I'd much rather have better defensive players in the corners, especially in left field. So BDLC scares the hell out of me next to Cruz. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. And let's take some positives out of this season, dude. Not to take over this section here of bantering, but we got Joey Bart Going into the season, we didn't really know who our catcher was going to be, and Andy Rodriguez is out for the year. So Joey Bart is one of the better acquisitions of the Charrington era. So he comes back next year, and Andy fits in somewhere, and maybe platoons or plays some first two. Who knows?
A lot of what ifs, man. What if Ke'Bryan doesn't solve these back issues? What if Reynolds can't make the transition to first base? What if Endy doesn't come back strong, or he's not the player you thought he was going to be? By the way, BDLC, since joining the team, is slashing 189, 201, 264, and 154 plate appearances with 2 walks and 48 strikeouts.
2 walks. That is incredible, man.
That kind of lines up with how just the overall team performs, right? It's like 14 strikeouts, 2 walks, or no walks. So,
do you think Andy Haynes is getting any sleep over that?
Oh man, it keeps him up at night. He hasn't slept in months, if that's the case. Hey, we could be the White Sox, who, when you were gone, they came out and said that they won't be active in the offseason. And as a matter of fact, they're going to cut their payroll.
Okay. So, hey,
old strategy. Let's see if it plays.
Let's make a sub 40 win team worse. Like,
yeah. I guess you can't get anywhere. So, I mean, just like keep buying into it. Then maybe it'll turn around. But a couple of other things when you were gone, man. Billy Cook made a debut. He's been okay. I know you got a small sample size here of you watching him since you've been back from Italy, and he struggles with balls away from the plate. We had a chance to watch a game when you came back, and I mentioned to you, like, hey, watch, they're just going to set up out and away. Yeah. And that's what they did every single pitch, and it worked. He's also hit a couple of bombs. And then Nick York was called up, who was tearing it up in AAA, and he's been all right so far. They've moved him around second base, third base. He might have gotten one game in left field or right field. They might have stuck him out in the corner. They've moved Cook around a little bit from first base, left field, center field, right field. He hasn't got much playing time since he's been up here. It's a little bit more consistent as of late, but you'd like to see these guys get a cup of coffee at the end of the year.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen many Billy Cook at bats or watched much film, because we were watching Friday night, the first Reds game, and I was like, that swing is a lot, for lack of better terms, uglier than I expected. It seems like there's a lot of noise with his hands. I pointed that out to you, where it seems like he's bringing his hands back, and he's like not catching up to fastballs on the upper part of the plate. So I don't know. I think the guy has a lot of talent, and it's his first cup of coffee. And if he's able to play the role of a utility player, I think that's a win for the Pirates.
Yeah, Josh, he said something that really stuck with me last week is you can get yourself really hyped up about these guys like Cook and York, and you're like, man, we have all these guys and the depth is good, but the depth is only as good as the guy starting right now. If you don't have a guy starting, the depth doesn't matter at all. And
there's a good way to put it.
A lot of what ifs. I mean, like IKF, you don't really want him to be your shortstop going into next year. His arm is not good, man. You have a couple of consistents, but really you have one guy right now who you probably go into 2025 and say, hey, he's going to be part of this lineup, and that's Nick Gonzalez. Everything else is up in the air.
Yeah.
They might explore a trade with Ke'Bryan. I brought it up with Destin. He thinks he's ultimately going to land here still in Pittsburgh, but you just don't know how it's going to play out, man. It's a lot, but let's not focus on the what ifs right now. Let's focus on the present and potentially the future here in the next couple of weeks with some accolades, and that's Rookie of the Year with Paul Skeens. Are we ready to crown Paul Skeens with this award?
Yeah, 100%. And he might finish the season with a sub-2 ERA as a rookie. Pretty impressive, man. He's been everything that he was advertised to be and much more. I don't think I expected this from him in his rookie season. I expected him to be good. I think the floor is really high, but he's pitching like a certified ace. So I absolutely, and listen, I see a lot of Pirates Twitter shitting on Jackson Merrill. Obviously they used the competition. Also Jackson Chourio had like a late season surge in Milwaukee, but both very good players, going to be perennial all-stars, both of them. But Skeens is absolutely the Rookie of the Year.
we're just making up stats at this point that he's breaking. It's like, hey,
know.
he's had this many strikeouts since Slick Ball Willie in 1925, or like Titcomb McGee,
Horseface Morris.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. Second player since 1913 to post an ERA of less than 2 through 22 appearances. Only pitcher in MLB history with an ERA below 2.6 and at least 10 Ks per 9 in their rookie season. As you mentioned, he's got a sub 2 1.99 ERA.
Dude, he is a 11.5 K per 9.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's ridiculous. It seems like he's getting better now. There was a little bit of, maybe 2 weeks halfway through his short MLB career where you're like, oh, maybe he's tiring out a little bit or they need to give him a break. And he just is able to make these adjustments. And the most recent one is his changeup, which might be his best pitch right now.
Yeah.
The changeup is gross. He had six Ks on the changeup today on Sunday versus the Reds. He looks good.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm
a positive. Yeah. One small thing to be excited about. Not much else happened this week. Isaac Mattson debuted for the Bucks. Really cool story there. Noah wrote about it earlier in the year. Pitt guy, and then Jake Woodford got DFA'd. So he had like 4 or 5 starts for the Buccos this year.
Yeah, maybe more, but I'm happy for Isaac Mattson. He's a District 10 guy. He was in high school the same time that I was, and he's from like closer to Erie. And then he also went to Pitt. So it's cool to see a guy who went through Western PA, went to Pitt, got drafted. He also did some time with the Washington Wild things down in Indy ball. So he's a Western PA guy, and we want to root for those guys.
Absolutely. Let's get into the game, Scott. Played the Reds NL Central team. We previewed it this week. We kind of mentioned how this is a similar team to the Pirates. They have a little bit less direction than the Pirates do, believe it or not, because they have a young core. They just don't really know whether to buy or sell. And it seems like it's been stagnant for them for a while, but they're not going to finish last in the Central, most likely, unless the Pirates win out here and the Reds drop pretty much every game moving forward. But not a great series. The Pirates dropped 2 of 3 to the Reds. Friday night was Mitch Keller, maybe his worst outing of the entire year. Really, really bad. 3 1/3, 7 hits, 8 earned runs, 5 walks, only 1 strikeout, 2 home runs. He had 3 whiffs. The Buccos lost 8-3, and they out-hit the Reds.
Yeah, not a good game for Keller. Is this game the one that put him over a 4 ERA, or did that happen while I was out?
This is the game. He pitched okay when you were gone, but he tried to use a heavy mix of the sinker, the sweeper. The sinker was 100% zone contact rate. As a matter of fact, pretty much all of his pitches in the zone were 100% zone contact, so he wasn't missing bats. He had a bullpen of Joey Wentz, and then this was the Isaac Mattson debut. He had 2 clean innings, and then a cruise missile to dead center field. The offense didn't really get anything going to the last inning, where that's where those 3 runs are, but just really not much to talk about on that side.
Yeah, let's shout out to Oneil Cruz. His first full season as a pro reached 2020. I know that's not achievement like it used to be, but still, I mean, this is like he's kind of a unicorn, if you will, being a 6'7" position player. Moving positions this year, playing his first full year in the big. So shout out to Oneil Cruz. And I also want to mention Nick Martinez. I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game. He was gross. And he's a guy, I think he played at Fordham. I think he might have went over to Korea or Japan and played, and then the Padres signed him. And he's been kind of like a back and forth long man starter. That changeup is plus. It was disgusting. He only gave up 2 hits, struck out 9 in 6 innings, I believe. But he's also, the reason why I bring him up is because he has an option. He's probably going to opt out. So Pirates would be nice to have that arm on. He was a guy I thought would be a cool signing for them because I knew they were going to go get some guys in the rotation this year. I didn't think he was going to cost much, but I think the price of the brick went up. So
yeah, absolutely. He's had a really strong finish
to
the year. Scott, why don't you let us know what happened on Saturday?
All right, Saturday didn't get any better for the Buccos. 7-1 loss in Cincy. Jared Jones took the hill. 5 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. Gave up 2 homers. Generated 11 whiffs. His ERA sits at 4.14 on the year. Jalen Beeks came in, which is, I think, the most puzzling trade that we made at the deadline this year, or in general this season. 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 K. Bednar threw an inning, walked a guy, and Bruck, he went 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 K. Rhett Lauder looked really impressive. I'm excited to see him and Skeens duel over the next few years here in the NL Central. We all remember that game 2 of the College World Series where they had a massive duel in Omaha. He went 5 innings, only gave up 5 hits and 4 Ks. He still has not given up a big league homer. I knew that was a game that this offense was good, or this was a guy this offense was going to struggle with, unfortunately. But Billy Cook went 2 for 4 after we watched him on Friday go 0 for 3 with 3 Ks. He had his second homer of the year and an RBI. 7 hits total, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, 11 left on base, and 9 Ks.
Rhett Lauder has looked really good in his short career so far. He's gone at least 5 innings in all of his starts and has not given up more than 6 hits. And as you mentioned, he still hasn't given up a home run. Yeah, playing in Cincinnati, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that ballpark is definitely a offensive friendly ballpark. And I saw Josh mention it in your recap of all the pitchers that we were facing this week that he hadn't given up a home run. So I was like, is that true? I went to look it up and I was like, whoa, that's really impressive for a rookie, especially in that ballpark.
Yeah, Jared Jones did not have his stuff working for him. The curveball, which has been a go-to the past couple of outings where he's starting to feel his way back, just wasn't there. 100% zone contact rate on the curveball, used the four seam 54% of the time, which was hit in the zone 78% of the time. So just not missing bats. Let me get your opinion on this. People were freaking out on Twitter about it. They said he's okay. They went out to go check on him around the 5th inning. They brought the trainer out there, and then they left him in. And everybody is screaming and hollering, if you got to bring the trainer out there and check on him, why even risk it at this time of the year? What do you think about that? And he threw an 85-mile-per-hour four-seam right after. He said that was because he thought he was running out of time on the pitch clock. So he just kind of let one go. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, here's my thing. If you have to bring out the training staff to look at him, I mean, we don't know what's being said behind the scenes, but I'd rather just err on the side of caution at this point. God forbid something happens and then you lose him for the rest of next year. I don't know.
Yeah, at this juncture of the season, listen, he's a smaller guy, and usually the stigma around smaller pitchers is that they don't have the stamina to last 162. Okay, so that's always going to be a concern with him, is that he's going to run out of gas throughout a season. And at this point, with us being out of contention, I mean, they were quick to take him out after 59 pitches through 5 innings in at Citi Field when he was pitching lights out. So why isn't there precaution here? And again, we don't know the conversations that were being had on the mound with the training staff and Jared Jones himself, but the 85 mile an hour fastball is kind of concerning to me. I want to say that I feel like most of the stress is kind of an overreaction, but the 85 mile an hour fastball is a little concerning to me.
Even if you're rushing it, you'd think he'd pump it up a little bit more than that.
He's such a competitive guy that I think letting one rip, he's at least hitting 92, 93. I don't know.
Right. As a team, Scott, 9 strikeouts, 4 walks, 7 hits, 1 for 6 runners in scoring position, 11 left on base. Death, taxes, and Pirates hitters striking out with runners in scoring position.
Yep.
It's a constant in life, and it's just, we're riding it out to the end of the year. You might as well not stop at this point. It's frustrating, man. Ellie hit an absolute bomb.
Saw that
in this one as well. It would have been halfway down the Allegheny if it was in Pittsburgh. It was absolutely shit on. Let's get to Sunday, because that's pretty much the only positive of this entire series. It was Skeens Day, 2-0, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned, no runs. No walks, 9 strikeouts. His ERA, as we mentioned earlier, is 1.99. 16 whiffs on this one, 7 whiffs on the changeup. He struck out of his 9 hitters, 6 of them came on the changeup, 50 strikes on 73 pitches. His use of the splinker and the four seam were about even, but he's been mixing in other pitches. The velo was up today, 100% zone swing rate on the changeup. Guys are not letting it go by. They're not taking it for a ball. 100% zone contact rate on other pitches, or I'm sorry, contact in the zone. Mm-hmm. So, people, it's also drawing soft contact as well. Bullpen, they held up today. Holderman, Majinski, Santana, who's been excellent, Chapman, and then offense, you had a Cruz missile, York's career first home run, and then BDLC had 2 hits. 14 strikeouts, 5 walks, 7 hits, 0 for 3 runners in scoring position, 9 left on base. They took 1.
Yeah, I mean, the 14 strikeouts is less surprising when you see Hunter Green was on the mound. Big matchup, Hunter Green versus Skeens. The Reds and the Pirates rotations are sneaky going to be really good for years to come. Just putting that out there. Also, Paul Skeens, in his rookie season, has accumulated almost 4 WAR. 3.9. As of this start. That's really impressive.
It's
everything about him is impressive, but just wanted to throw that out there because I know we don't talk about WAR a lot for pitchers.
It sucked because he pitched on a Steelers Sunday, which has usually been Jared Jones the past couple of weeks. And I feel like the Pirates are fading out of relevancy, maybe altogether in Pittsburgh already, especially with the Steelers going 3-0 to start. Keep watching the Skeens starts, at least. You get stuff like this every single time. There's something different. Scott, not a great series. You'd hope that they would at least be competitive with the Reds, who are the second worst team in the Central and have not had a great year altogether. They got the Brewers coming up, but before we get to that, let's see what's happening down on the farm, which is going to be a much, much shorter segment this week. Everybody is done except for the Indianapolis I-Wards. They were at St. Paul this week. That is the AAA affiliate for the Twins. Tuesday, Bubba Chandler in his last outing of the year, 5 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, gave up 1 home run. His ERA is at 1.83.
Really good year for Bubba.
Just gross. And hey, Endy got promoted to AAA, and he's been getting consistent playing time. He went 2 for 4 on Tuesday with an RBI, 2 strikeouts. And then, Scott, why don't you lead us into Wednesday with Thomas Harrington?
Sure. Yeah, Wednesday, we had Thomas Harrington went 5 innings against the Saints, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned run, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 5 Ks. His ERA is at 3.33. Another solid year for a starting pitching prospect in this system. Endy went 2 for 5, another 2-hit game. He actually collected a home run and 3 RBIs. And then Jack Sawinski, you told me he's been tearing it up as of late. He went 3 for 5 this game, a home run. He raised his average, you said, from like 180 to 247 or something like that. That's a big jump in September.
Jump. Yeah, he's been tearing it up. We go through minor league stats every single week and we see how guys are doing. And we kind of both agree when we do our minor league player of the week, we hate giving it to the guys that have had consistent Major League Baseball time, like Sawinski, Palacios, Ji-Hwan Bae, if he's doing well. But Sawinski has been on an absolute tear. I'm so happy they haven't called him up. He needs time to just stay consistent and have some success. The Endy home run on this game was from the right side, an absolute tank. Really good to see. Let's go to Thursday. We had Bo Sulser go 4 2/3, 7 hits, 6 earned, 3 walks, 6 Ks, gave up 3 home runs. Yeah, not great. ERA sits at 5.66. Aliko Williams, who was sent down. This was the corresponding move for York, I believe. Went 4 for 5, 1 run, and then Endy 1 for 5 with a double, which brings us to Friday and Scott's favorite pitcher.
Oh, thanks, man. I was hoping I got Friday. Domingo Germán went 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Probably his last start until he never pitches a major league game again. Jack Sawinski, again, my guy, Captain Jack. I've always been a big fan, if you guys didn't know that. 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. And then Palacios went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Pop Smoke, big week for him.
Yep.
Saturday.
Saturday. Michael Plassmeyer, 1 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned, 2 walks, 1 K, 1 home run. Not a great year. He was somebody at the beginning of the year. I'm like, maybe he gets a spot start here or there. He's had some major league time. I was wrong. 7.93 ERA. Jake Lamb and Palacios each had a home run on this one, which brings us to the last game Sundays, and that's Mike Burrows.
Yeah, Mike Burrows went 4 hits, 3 runs that were on 2 homers, 10 Ks though. He ends the year with a 4.06 ERA. Big last couple months here coming back from TJ. Made his way all the way up to AAA in his rehab. Eddie Yean, who was recently promoted to Indianapolis from AA, 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 Ks. We officially won the Josh Bell trade as of today.
Lock it up.
I'm just saying it. I'm announcing it. I don't care what anyone else thinks. We won it. Matt Gorski also hit his 23rd home run of the season. The Indianapolis native has been crushing it on the power end in Indy. Hey, the I words, I should say. I caught myself.
How dare you? I would have canceled you.
They finished the season pretty strong, man. They're 76-70. They were like 10 to 12 games below 500 at one point, I believe, during the summer. So finished the season strong. Not that anyone really cares about minor league records, but good to see, especially with this starting rotation that we have very close to the big leagues.
Yeah, after Skeens was called up, they were pretty much depleted. There was really not much to talk about in AAA, but now you have Thomas Harrington up there. Endy, you're happy to see him get some at-bats at the end of the year. See Jack Sawinski have some type of success. I know how much we've talked about him throughout the year, but at least he's hitting. I mean, you want the guy to hit. Mike Burrows in a rehab year definitely showed some strides, which is going to bring us to our minor league player of the week, the last minor league player of the week for the year. It's not Bubba Chandler this week. It
Bubba,
very
you can't
well
have them all.
could be. It's not Thomas Harrington. He's won it a couple of times, but it's Mike Burrows, which I believe might be his first time as the minor league player of the week. As we just mentioned, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks. This is where it really gets good. It's the 10 strikeouts, man. That's really promising. His ERA is going to be at 4.06. Remember, he's coming back from injury. Started all the way down in low A this year and worked his way up through all the speed bumps. It looks like he is going to be okay as long as he stays healthy. A lot of good stuff in minor league baseball this year. I know we talk a lot about not having a lot of bats and some guys that have taken a step back like Anthony Solometo, but there's a lot of promising guys too, either in low A, high A, and right now even at AAA with Bubba Chandler and Thomas Harrington.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we have the gap in the upper level position player depth, as you said, but a lot of arms to dream on. And I do want to mention the Arizona Fall League is coming up. And I believe, I don't know if the full rosters, but teams usually announce who they're sending there. I know there's a few teams that have already announced some guys. Jungshuk Shim, by the way, is going for the Marlins. So
of course,
excited to watch some of that. Yeah. But I'm sure we will have a recap of that maybe in our next couple episodes, or I don't think the season starts until October. So we could possibly wait until the season's over. But regardless, we will have a preview of the prospects going to the Arizona Fall League. So I'm interested to see who the Pirates select there. But yeah, man, good season. Greensboro probably was our best team. We had some prospects pop up at the lower levels, some guys that were drafted too this year that made an immediate impact at their affiliates. So excited to see what they do this offseason.
I'm going out to Arizona in October, and it lines up with the Pirates schedule. And I believe they play in Scottsdale. They're the team that the prospects are going to be on. The Scorpions, the Scottsdale Scorpions. So I'm going to try and get out and see a couple of games if I can. Be a really cool experience. Scott, let's close this out with the Brewers. I was talking, I can't remember if it was Destin or if it was by myself or Josh, but like how exciting would the end of this year be if they were competing and then you had to go against the Cardinals, Reds, and then Brewers to close out the season?
It would have been awesome.
It would have been great. It would have been must-see TV. People would be engaged. But instead, the Brewers kind of just ran away with it. They're 9.5 games up from the closest team, which is the Cubs, 89-67. They've already clinched. We have Falter, Ortiz, and Keller going this week. This is a good Brewers team, man. They've just kind of throughout the entire year been able to just stay steady and consistent.
But they also did it with a lot of change happening, and this
Right.
I really do respect how this organization is run. I see a lot of people posting screenshots when Charrington was hired. It was between him and Matt Arnold, who is now the GM of the Brewers. He was the assistant GM when Stearns was there, and Matt Arnold has done a tremendous job with acquisitions, waiver wire, drafting. They lost Craig Counsell, who is from Whitefish Bay. Like, he's a grew up there, Milwaukee guy. The Cubs, their rival, gave him the biggest managerial contract ever, right?
Yep.
And they're making the playoffs, and the Cubs are not. The Cubs were officially eliminated today or yesterday. Pat Murphy, who was their bench coach last year, is their manager now. Another Notre Dame grad, whatever. But Pat Murphy is Pedro Alvarez's father-in-law. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and Pedro Alvarez is a bench coach, right?
I think he might be like a advisor or something like that. He shows up sometimes. I don't think he's a full-time coach. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. Ricky Weeks is one of they're like grooming him to be a future manager. That's a blast
really
from
cool.
the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like a lot of these young bats. Last thing I'll say about the offense, I really love a lot of these young bats. Like Garrett Mitchell is a guy that I'm high on. He was out most of the first half of the year. Jackson Chourio had a slow start, but has really picked it up. He's very young. He's a perennial all-star. Sal Frelick is really, really good out in the outfield. William Contreras is an MVP candidate. This team is, I feel like they're kind of turning into like the Guardians or the Rays. They're just churning through players, and they make really good trades. Like that trade with what was it, Atlanta and Oakland? Like they won that because they got William Contreras. Is that the one that sent Olsen to Atlanta?
I don't so. I can't remember.
I can't remember exactly which trade it was, but it was a 3-team trade. They got William Contreras, Joel Payamps, and one more guy. But they do this. They make good trades. They draft well. They do well in the Rule 5, make key waiver wire pickups. This is what it takes to be successful in small markets.
Yeah. Overall, as a team, they're 7th in the league in runs scored per game. They can strike out a decent amount as a team, but as a pitching staff, 5th overall in ERA, just well-rounded.
And not a sexy rotation, right? They lost Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah. You got guys like Tobias Myers kicking it off on Tuesday. I'll get us started. Tobias Myers will come to PNC Park on Tuesday. The right-handed pitcher, 8-6 on the year, 3.05 ERA in 24 games, 120 Ks, 119 WHIP. 2 starts against the Pirates this year. April 23rd was his first start of the season. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Gave up a home run to Kutch. And then more recently on July 10th, 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Arsenal 4-seam cutter, slider, change, curve, heavy 4-seam usage at 40%, sits around 93, heavy in the middle of the zone. He's given up 13 bombs on the 4-seam alone this year. And then the changeup sits around 81 miles per hour. He likes to go to that sometimes as a put away, can be a little bit erratic, loses the zone a little bit on the secondaries, but overall, not a bad year for him, man. The splits at versus lefties, 264, 330, 411 versus righties, 222, 268, 370. And then with runners in scoring position, it's not going to get much better for the Pirates this week. 153, 230, 224 with runners in scoring position. So he's put up a solid year, Scott.
I think the pattern I've seen, especially like digging into some of these guys in the scouting reports, is that the Brewers really target guys that fill up the zone. And other than this next guy that I'm going to be talking about, Freddie Peralta, he's a little bit more on the arm plus arm rather than plus command side, but he's the only guy in this rotation that fits that bill. So we're going into Wednesday. Freddie Peralta is throwing against Luis Ortiz. He's been their ace this year. Brother of Luis Peralta, who we sent to Colorado for Jalen Beeks, who actually debuted with Colorado in the bullpen. He had a really good year in Altoona. 11-8, 369 ERA in 31 games started this year. He has 193 Ks, 1.23 WHIP. He's going to eclipse 200 Ks this year probably. And he usually does if he plays a full season. He's definitely a big strikeout arm. His arsenal includes a 4-seam, a slider, a change, and a curve. The 4-seam he goes to over 50% of the time. He's got this funky like low 3/4 arm slot where he gets a lot of movement on the fastball. He goes to his slider 21% of the time. It's actually a softer slider. It only averages like 81. And then his change and his curve are, his tertiary pitches. His change is in the upper 80s. It's around 88. Command can be if he isn't hitting his spots, opposing batters can generate a lot of barrels off of him. But he has a relatively clean delivery, although funky, loose arm, and an average feel for spin. So he's really banking on that fastball to, get him by. He's pitching off of that fastball, shall I say. And he also varies his release point on all 4 of his pitches. So it's kind of can be deceiving. Like I mentioned, that arm slot, there's a lot of deception involved here. It could be, and opposing batters often have a hard time picking him up.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, he plays off that fastball. He's 93rd percentile in off-speed run value. And when he's on, he has a very high whiff rate. Against the Pirates this year, he went 4 2/3, 5 hits, 5 earned, 1 home run, 5 walks, 5 Ks. The splits versus lefties, 212, 291, 338. Versus righties, 243, 329, 453, and 17 bombs. So some reverse.
You know who hit that home run off him?
I don't.
Joey Bart. I think it might have been one of his first Pirate home runs, to be honest with you. We were at that game. I remember.
We were at that game. Legend Joey Bart continues. So this should be an interesting one on Wednesday versus Freddie Peralta. And that'll bring us to the Thursday game against Aaron Civale, the right-handed pitcher. You know him from
Thank God that's a 12:30 game, because I do not want to see Aaron Civale again.
It's before I get into this, something funny. My mom was telling me that her company is like getting featured at the game, and it's like a small business day where they're featuring all these different companies and promoting them. I'm like, they would pick the last game on a Wednesday at noon to promote small businesses. The only people there to see it are going to be the businesses themselves.
True.
So,
true. Yeah.
Awesome. Great job, guys. Aaron Civale, you know him with his time with the Guardians. He was with the Rays before getting sent over to the Brewers. He's faced the Pirates twice this year, once with the Rays, once with the Brewers. As a whole on the year, 7-9, 4.53 ERA, and 155 innings pitched, 144 Ks. When he was with the Rays, he went 5 2/3 versus the Buccos, 3 hits, 1 earned, gave up 1 home run, and only 3 strikeouts. With the Brewers this year, 6 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys. He fills up the zone on pretty much all of his pitches. He's got a lot of them, man. Cutter, sinker, curve, sweeper, 4-seam, split, slider. The primary is the cutter, which he likes to get in on the hands of both righties and lefties. He uses it 32% of the time, sits around 88 miles per hour. The sinker is pretty much the secondary pitch at 24%, 93. And then everything else plays off of that. The splits versus lefties, 256, 324, 461 versus righties, 256, 315, 438. Pretty much identical here. Guys, if he's on and he's filling up the zone, you could find a good launch angle against him. As I mentioned, he's not going to strike out a lot of guys. He's not going to get a lot of chase. He's going to stay around the zone, which means if you're getting on him, you have the opportunity to hit the ball hard and get barreled quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I just remember watching both their games against Civale this year, and they seem to struggle with him more than they should.
The Pirates?
Yeah, exactly. That Pirates offense.
And it was the same team.
That first series was when the NS9 was in town, and we had the tailgate with them in like mid-June. And I was like, why is Aaron Civale only giving up 1 run? But anyways, like I said, the Brewers like these plus command guys. He's got above average control. He's going to fill up the zone. He's not going to walk a lot of guys. And he's not going to generate a lot of whiffs. His savant page is gross. Absolutely gross.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you could definitely generate barrels off this guy, but he's not going to put you on base. He's not going to give you a free pass.
Right. Exactly. We'll see how it goes. You can't, at this point, you just put out the lineup that you have. I was going to say your best lineup. That's not going to happen. You're just going to put up a lineup. And let's see if we can close out the season with a couple more W's. You got the Brewers this week, and then they have the Yankees in New York to close it out right after. That's a Friday through Sunday series. Before we close this out, we got hitter and pitcher of the week. Hitter of the week. Not many options here. Wasn't a great week overall, but you got to go with O'Neal Cruz. He put up a 286 batting average, 6 for 21, 5 runs, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, which were absolute bombs, and he drew 6 walks. So O'Neal Cruz, once again, is Bucko Banner hitter of the week.
Oh, yeah. And our pitcher of the week is General Paul Skeens. Closes out potentially his last start. I don't know. He could probably go one more. But 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 9 Ks today against the Reds, 1.99 ERA on the season. He had 16 whiffs today. He's been the bright spot for this team, and hopefully we get to see him one more time before the season closes out.
Would love to see him against the Yankees.
Yeah.
Big on big, him versus Judge and Soto. I mean, you had that in the All-Star game, but to see it through a couple of times in the lineup would be special on that stage. All the Yankees fans are going to just, what you're going to hear from Yankees fans, Scott.
Oh, well, he'll be a Yankee in 4 years or whatever. Yeah, we'll hear it all. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Looking forward to it. I'll be in New York for the Friday game, so I cannot wait. As always, thank you for listening to Bucko Banner. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being patient with us as we both took vacations and we're flying solo for a couple weeks. We're back. We're here to stay. We're finishing out the season strong. We'll be at the ballpark this week, Scott, with our last baseball to give away. I counted it up today. We've given away 18 signed baseballs this year and 2 autographed photos. We've given away, I think, 2 bobbleheads, a Jalapeno Hannah plush toy, and I might be missing something else, but it's been an awesome year. We got 1 more ball left. We might have another gift. Who knows? But we can't wait to see what the offseason has and potentially maybe have some giveaways then or continue the mini mic content. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just want to mention I'm really excited to be back. I'm bummed that I missed a couple home series, but let's make the most out of this last one here in Pittsburgh. I hope people show out. I know the season hasn't gone the way we wanted it to, but let's enjoy the last 3 games of baseball in Pittsburgh while we can. And then we're going to drive excitement around this team this whole offseason. I'm excited to do that. We're going to find so many ways to do it. We're going to talk about them. And next year is a big year. So I'm not going to get too much into that. We'll wait to talk about next year, but still let's show out this week against the Brewers. Just play spoiler for the rest of the season and win some ball games.
Absolutely. If you didn't get a signed baseball from us this year, you missed out on your autographed merch or memorabilia, just go over to tsesports.com. Use the code Bucko Banner. You spend $100, you get $10 off. Pretty good deal, man. They got good prices already, so you can probably get multiple things as it is. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads. Go to YouTube. Hit subscribe so you know when the episodes are coming out. There's always a weekday episode and a weekend episode recapping and previewing all of the series. Leave a comment, hit like. If you're only listening to the audio, download, leave a 5-star review. It means a ton. And then go get some Bucko Banner merch. The season's almost over, but hey, you wear clothes all year, I hope. So make it Bucko Banner. Thanks for listening. Let's raise it.
Raise it.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plates and